Welcome to the new video, guys, and today I am on top of my favorite trail area once again. I'm standing on Poggio Pelato. It's the Castiglioncello trail area, my favorite place in Tuscany. But today it's not about the trails, it's about this beautiful purple fork. And it's not a new bike day for me, but a new fork day. Well, it's not actually my fork and it's not actually new, but I'll come to that later in the video. So I'm out here today and I'm being blessed by the Italian gods because we are very close to the summer solstice and it's been very hot lately. It's 7 o'clock in the morning and I already made my way up. The sun is rising behind me, but it's a little bit overcast, as you can see, and that's so beautiful because that's giving me a little bit of cool, as it will be already 30 degrees by now and I will be already dying after having pedaled up here. But back to the fork. This Formula Selva S fork is not something you see very often here out on the trails, even here, although it's an Italian product. And I bet there are reasons for that. And I'm eager to find that out, as I will be riding and testing this fork for the next couple of months. And why is that? Because my RockShox Lyrik 3, which I've upgraded to 3.1 damper, which I normally run on my Forbidden Druid, has developed the infamous creaking crown syndrome. The creaking crown syndrome is a cracking noise coming from somewhere here on the fork or maybe from the stanchion. So there's some kind of little bitty play between the stereo tube, the fork crown, or the stanchions and the fork crown, and this cracking noise is driving me nuts. Depending on your sensitivity, you might not even hear it, but I hear it as all these little click noises, which is each compression. Some people say it's not relevant for your safety, so the fork won't break in pieces, but every time you ride through a compression or I drop down from a small feature or take a small jump, I hear the knack 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 noise. Or if I do a stoppie or try an endo, knack knack, and it's just really annoying. And the big issue with that is that I've read on the internet that most manufacturers forks do, especially the Enduro and the longer travel forks, do suffer from this. Yeah. I mean, it's obvious. It's a very long. The forks have become longer. The head angle has become slacker. It's more raked out. There's a lot of forces going into it and so on. But presumably there are other manufacturers like EXT who make a different fork crown to prevent this from happening. There are also bike services online who offer you to send in your creaking crown fork, and they don't only take it out and press it back in, but they also glue it. And I wonder, why do not the manufacturers also apply a little bit of special glue to that stereo tube, because they know that these fork crowns develop these creaking noises, because it's everywhere on the internet. There's even an interview in one of the big bike magazines where Fox, Allins and RockShox admit to be aware of that issue. So that's just crazy. Anyway, I've been a RockShox fan since 1996 when I had my first RockShox Judy SL, yellow Judy SL, on my first track full suspension. It was a terrible bike and a questionable fork, but I was in love with RockShox. And I've been ever since. And when I got my previous bike, which was a Cannondale Jekyll, I also had the RockShox Zep Select, which came with it, and I upgraded it to a RockShox Zep Ultimate 2.1. And that fork was simply amazing, and I still miss it a little bit until today. But it also developed the creaking crown syndrome after 1.5 years of Enduro abuse. And I sold the Cannondale bike also in parts because of that cracking sound. I was living in Greece on the Paros Island back in those days, and it would be a really big problem to send in the fork and get it serviced, because I bought it in Germany. I would have to send it to Germany. It was a nightmare. So I sold the whole bike. The guy who bought it didn't mind it cracking, and so I decided to go for a RockShox Lyrik when I spec'd the Druid, because I thought I save a little bit of weight. I don't really need that huge travel up front because the Druid has 150 travel from stock and my Lyrik came with 160, so that was okay. And the Lyrik was a really disappointing fork, as I already mentioned it in my previous videos, in my Forbidden Druid review, link on the top right hand corner. But the Lyrik disappointed me in many ways. First of all, it was a very stiff fork, it was like a pogo stick, and I couldn't really get it dialed. So I had problems with it being too harsh or too soft. If I went too low on the pressure, despite all this compression and rebound settings, the fork would dive on me. And if I would increase the PSI pressure, not even close to the chart where it should be for my weight, so the fork would be very harsh off the top. The Lyrik has an incredible mid-stroke support, and it is very good on big jumps, compressions, and like heavy hits. But it's not a Zap, it's not a real beefy enduro fork. The Lyrik is an all-mountain trail fork, and so I was quite disappointed with its harshness and it's not being supple off the top. So out goes the RockShox and in comes the Formula Selva S.
Oh yeah.
Okay guys, to test the new fork, I'm doing a new trail which I've never tested because it's brand newly made Petraia, and I'll be following a local legend who will take me down this trail so I will not die. Andiamo. Ooh, it's a bit dusty and loose. The fork is making this slumpy noises like floop, floop, but this is much better than the creaking crown noises. Ooh, quite rocky. Wow, this fork is much more plush at the minute. Let's see if I'm too soft on the pressure and it will bottom out or not when I do some jumps. But for the moment, ooh, bello. Hey. Nice. Now I know why they call it Petraia, which means rocky. And it is quite rocky and loose. But that's the challenge, right? Woo! Yeah, here you need just to trust the process. Nice fork. Bello.
Ok.
Grazie.
Prossima.
Ciao ciao. Wow. The cam shows that I'm half a meter underwater, which is not true. Actually, I'm quite above water. Let me take this off. Alright guys, first riding impressions on this Selva S. Much better than the Lyrik. Wow, it's another world. It's so supple off the top, and see, I didn't even use like maybe 70% of its travel, and it gave me good support. Of course, I was not sending it. We was just, you know, rolling down this trail because it's new for me and I had to watch out. I will send it now a trail that I know quite well, the Belvedere, but I need to climb back on top to do that. So first, the very first touch, I'm really enjoying it. Let's see how the day continues. So I'm back at the top. The last final piece of the climb is quite something. So I'm catching a breather, and then I will be sending my favorite trail, La Belvedere, and connecting to K.R.I.S, which is like a 2.5 kilometer top to bottom trail. If you have seen my Poggio Pelato video, top right hand corner, then you know it, but it's one of, I think, the best flow trails around, natural flow trails around. And yeah, this pretty this pretty animal. It was borrowed to me by friends from Tuscan Hill Enduro bike services. They offer bike tours, rentals and shuttle services. Also here in the Tuscany area. I will link them below should you plan a trip to Tuscany. Those are the guys you should check out for a lot of very nice spots around here. They borrowed me this Formula Selva S. Now let's see the flow trail with some little jumps and let's see if how it performs. Let's go. So far the fork is making a real good impression. It's making this slouching noises, but much better than cracking noises. Let's see, now comes some small jumps after these pumpy rollers. So, oh, buttery smooth. Also this one. Oh, some loose rocks here and there. So this berm was good traction. It's a bit loose today. It's been very hot lately, so nice. The Belvedere was a pleasure with this fork. Now this Selva has only 150 travel. With my Lyrik had 160, but I figure that I will notice the difference only on really chunky terrain. So far I don't notice it. Whew. 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 Nice compression here. Now we're coming to a big roller. Love that one. Amazing. Ooh. Now to some straight part to catch a breather. This is a fast passage to connect. Let's go, K.R.I.S. The next stage. That landing felt a bit harsh on the fork in comparison to the Lyrik. I ride this trail a lot, so here I have a good comparison. That was nice. Also this one. Oh. Ooh. I could have put some pedal strokes in there, but come on, I'm not racing, I'm testing the fork. And here comes now a little bit a bigger jump. Yes. Ooh. Ooh, yeah. And we almost lost the front end of our loose rock, and we are finished with this trail. No knacking, no cracking noises even with the Enduro. Stop. Oh guys, I'm a little bit out of breath, but I really love this trail, or these two trails. And the fork, look at it. I didn't even properly bottom it out, and I did land nose heavy on a couple of those little jumps. Okay, the jumps were little and the drops were little, but the fork seems to be set properly for me. Maybe I could even reduce the compression damping just a little bit. And here, maybe it's time to reflect on some particularities of this fork. Okay. One reason that I really enjoy this trail area is due to its mellow climbs, and so I can take the opportunity while I'm pedaling back up to tell you a little bit about the particularities of this fork. And before I say what I have to say, I have to give a disclaimer up front. So I have chosen to live in Italy. I am originally from Russia. I lived in Germany for a very long time, and I visited and lived in different places around the world. So I chose this place, and I chose this place because I love it. I love this mentality, I love the people, I love the food, and of course the nature, the trails, the sea. But the Italians are very famous for very particular approaches and solutions to things. But if you have ever traveled to Italy and you have especially enjoyed the Italian highways, car, autostrada, superstrada, how particular these intersections and exits can be. And this is like a symbol for many Italian solutions. And so is this fork. While I'm really enjoying its performance so far, it has no mud guard, it has no holes or no screws to put a mud guard. So in case you get this fork, you have immediately to put ugly ass zip ties and scratch your fork right away. Then we have this quick release axle, which is not like a normal quick release, it is magnetic. The final position of the lever is not adjustable. I saw on the internet that you can take it apart and fiddle around with it, but it is not my fork, and I will probably have to return it after 2 months. I'm not messing around with it, but it's a little bit strange for having the quick release facing front. Okay, then we have this little nice dials to adjust the compression and the lockout, and we have an adjuster for the lockout, so you can lock it out and you can adjust the amount of lockout you get. This is how I interpret the manual. Maybe I'm wrong, but this is how I interpret the Italian manual at the minute. And it has just one compression dial. So instead of having two compression dials, it has the dial to adjust the lockout. Okay, whatever. And you can adjust this fork from 120 to 160, which is quite a big range, and I'm on 150 now. But to adjust it, you need to take it to a dealer. I cannot do it myself for sure, and people say it's quite difficult to do it. And last but not least, it's the color. I really love this color, and I think it goes extremely well with my Spruce Almighty colorway of my Druid and the copper chain, the pedals, and these decals. But of course, this is very personal and questionable, but don't panic. This fork is also available in black for all those of you who don't like flashy colors. And last but not least, there's the brake caliper mount. This forks come with the standard 160 mount, which I believe is quite outdated. I mean, if you consider that this fork can be ridden as a 120 fork, let's say light trail bike, you might want to run 160 discs, maybe, I don't know, but I have 200mm rotors, and luckily there was an adapter which I don't find particularly beautiful, but it's there. But the adapter has very special screws, and you have to have exactly these screws because they're very short, and otherwise you will not be able to mount your caliper. We faced this problem yesterday when trying to change over the forks, and luckily the guys had spare screws just for that fork and for this adapter, which was almost a showstopper. But other than that, so far the fork is performing extremely well. The Lyrik has been said to be much stiffer than the previous Lyrik and stiffer than other forks, and I don't know if this fork is as stiff as the Lyrik. I don't think so, but now we were going to send it down the Sir Robert Trail, and the Sir Robert Trail has, after the flowy and nice passage, it has some chunks, not too rough, but it has some rock gardens, and we will see how it performs and if the stiffness, or maybe the lack of it, I don't know, is a good or a bad thing, which I also don't know. So far they're missing 10 mils of travel, and it's also important to note that this fork, with the same travel like a RockShox fork, is 5mm shorter in its stack. So in any case, my front is now 15 mils lower than before, and this should be quite a big difference, but to be honest, I don't notice it. Maybe it's even doing some good by putting more weight on my front wheel. Maybe it compensates for my, not ideal body position on the bike, whatever. But I don't find it bad so far. But these trails here are not very steep also. There have been a couple of passages quite steep, but so far this 15 mils of difference, I don't feel it, or it's not impacting my riding in a negative way. So let's go to Sir Robert and see how it goes. Let's go. Let's see how it goes. It's a bit of chunky entry. See. Nice and loose over the roots. No braking here. So far it's doing an amazing job. Some brakes here, getting a bit off camberish. I love this feature. Now we're coming into the canyon zone, high line. No, not this jump, but this roller here is amazing. Woohoo! What a flow trail, huh? Sir Robert. Sketchy a bit, but okay. These canals, they need them because when it rains, this part of the trail is in the shadow. It's always wet. Okay, now we're entering the bit more chunky part in a second. Let's see how it goes. Woohoo! Seating it up very nicely. Bit too hard drift there. Wow, what a traction this fork offers. It's over the trail. So this was it for Sir Robert. Whoa! What a trail! I just love it. I hope you enjoyed that send. Let's check the phonometer, shall we? I reset the sag before riding, and now I still have not used at least 15% of the travel, and there were some chunky hits and some little drops, so I can probably go even and decrease, so I can decrease the the air pressure even further, or maybe take out some of the compression damping. But I'm already only 3 clicks away from fully open, so let's see about that. I enjoy a bit of damping, so I would prefer to go lower on air and to remain with more damping than to turn out all the damping and just have more air pressure, but maybe that's just me. Anyway, the fork is making a very, very good riding impression. I'm enjoying it a lot. It makes this slushy noises, this where the Lyrik was really quiet. This is one of the strongholds of the Lyrik 3 and 3.1. You really don't hear anything, except for the cracking noise and those creaking crown RockShox. Anyway, getting carried away. Let's go back up again and take another trail, Zago, which has even more rocky passages, and see how it holds up. And I will take out some air pressure of the fork and see how it fares. Okay, Zago, the next trail with a little bit more rocks. Whew. So far, so good. Entering the chunky stuff was good, but a little bit flexy. Now entering a very nice place. Have to stay on the left, then we can go around house. And now we're coming to a hard to flat jump, which will test the capacities. I decided not to decrease the pressure because of this jump. To wrap it up, let me put the basic information of the Lyrik and the Formula Selva S just side by side. Both forks are on 35mm stanchions. The Lyrik and the Selva S are both about 2 kilograms, with the Formula fork being just a tad lighter than the RockShox fork. Both forks cost about the same price range. I mean, depending on what kind of sale or what kind of offer you find, the one or the other might be a bit cheaper, but they're about the same price. And for my take, after this first day out with this fork, this Formula fork is so much better than the Lyrik, in my personal opinion. And one more thing about it, why I think it's better, not only because it has this looks and the performance, but also because it's so highly customizable and tunable. And we haven't even talked about it yet in this video, because it has like a CTS, a compression tuning system, which is composed not only of this little dial that I mentioned before, which just is your regular compression dial, and it has also an interchangeable valve system. So up here are some small valves that you can replace, and they change the compression curve. They mess around with the low, mid and high speed compression settings. And those valves, I have two of those valves that have been given to me alongside this fork. One is inside the fork and is the gold tune, which should suit the most riders. It's like the golden setting. But I also have a blue valve, which is supposed to be even more traction, for more traction, more comfort. I don't know. I will check it out in the future video. So if you are interested in seeing how this fork performs or seeing more videos from me, why not hitting the subscribe button right now? And also, if you found it useful so far, why not hitting the like button? Would mean the world to me and is free for you. So let me see where my adventures take me next with this fork and this bike. But I know already that the next test for this fork will be in the bike park. We are going to Amiata very soon. So the next video will be most likely me shredding this fork in the bike park. So thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.